welcome back following the break. My name is James Williams, known to the industry as MrConnectivity, and it's a real pleasure here to be hosting the first panel discussion of the event today. Now, the event here in India, put together by the Mobile Ecosystem Forum and kindly supported end-to-end by Globe Teleservices, is ultimately all about the networking side of things and bringing people together. I've been in the telecom sector now, this is my 35th year, and in business messaging for 15 years or more. And I'm constantly amazed about how this industry brings people together, and it genuinely touches the lives of people. Yesterday, I met one of my speakers for the first time, and it turns out that the first property I ever owned 30 years ago, this guy actually lived directly below me, and we mirrored each other in so many ways with the companies we worked for and at exactly the same time. The unfortunate thing is I sold my apartment and this guy didn't. So yeah, he's done very well from it. But what are the odds of that? And this is the power of our whole sector, bringing people together to talk about absolutely everything and ultimately connecting people. There are, if you go onto the live global population counter, there are about 8.2 people in the world. There are about 1.45 billion here in India. We had some fantastic statistics all the way through from the chair of the ICEA. Gavin gave some excellent statistics as well. The fact of the matter is, India is huge. India has so much potential. And on our panel, we're going to be talking about the huge power business messaging has and ultimately has still got to play in delivering fantastic experiences which deliver real value for every single person across India. And we're going to be doing it with a little bit of an international twist. Now, my speakers today represent all sectors of the industry. I'd like to start by introducing Eishan from Tata Communications. A round of applause for Eishan. Eishan has worked with Tata Communications for a good number of years, and he really sits in the middle of industry. So welcome, Eishan. Good to see you. So if you could take your seats. Thank you very much. Next up, I'd like to introduce Shalini. Shalini has been in the industry a long time, works with PCCW Global Connect, and manages the whole monetization piece, and indeed works internationally. So yes, the focus today is going to be on India, but we'll also be talking international. Next up is actually the gentleman I was referring to. It's Mr. Vish Bajaj, who is the founder of Value First. He still owns his apartment in Bracknell. Well done. And we also have Ali from a very small mobile operator known as Reliance Jio. When I did the research, it is the second largest in the world. It's got 465 million, welcome Ali, 465 million subscribers, which when you go to any other events around the world, when you hear of, oh, we've got 20 million, we've got 30 million, you go to the US, we've got 100 million, this puts it into perspective and really gives us perspective and size and scale. And last but by no means least, we've got someone who is a great partner of Globe Teleservices. It's Zaffar, who is from the north of the country, and he is the founder, curator, creator, and CEO of Almuqeet Systems, who has a great CPaaS solution as well, and is a great partner of GTS. So off we go. Well, thank you very much, everybody. So we're going to be talking about the international piece of business messaging ultimately, but we are the first panel of the day, so I'd like to take this as a barometer of how all of you feel about the business messaging business in India as a whole. How do we think it is? A rating of 1 to 10, 1 being utterly terrible, and 10 being perfect. We can all literally drop the mics, go home, put our feet up, and retire because we've done everything we need to do. Let's start at the far end. Zaffar, what's your perspective, 1 to 10, with the business messaging industry in India?
Thank you very much. India is a very, it's a large market, and there have been many things which have been done, many things which are yet to come. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I believe India stands somewhere around an 8 to start with. It's a very good market. There are a lot of opportunities to work in, we have seen a lot of growth in SMS, too much of volume, and then more opportunities coming with the CPaaS side.
Fantastic. And I think that's a really good score. And I've done exactly the same kind of panel around the world. And it's very rare I hear an 8 for a country. So that's very, very positive.
Yes.
Next up, Ali, what's your perspective, given you represent the second largest operator in the whole world, the largest in India? So really interested to hear your perspective.
So thank you, James. While I completely agree with Zaffar that the market potential is huge, my personal take is that at this point of time in India, we're at about 2. On the RPM side, yes. And I have reasons for that. Probably a very controversial statement, but there are reasons why I have that.
Okay, we'll come to those. I will be asking. I think it's obvious, folks. Next up, Vish, what's your take?
Yeah, hi. So for me, it's the enterprise perspective. We have been selling to enterprises. And I think for the last 22 years, it has been an exciting day every day. So 10 on 10 actually. However, when it comes to value capture, because we do so much value creation, we provide everything the customers need, so it's perhaps 4. So, but in terms of the day job, it is 10 on 10.
Yeah, but we're going to be, I think the reason for your 4 is going to be there's some challenges around the market.
It's a very price-sensitive market.
We're going to be talking about that for sure on the panel. Next up, someone who knows a lot about price sensitivity in the A2P SMS market in particular is Shalini. What's your take on it?
If I look at it from an international perspective, I would agree with Zaffar when he said an 8 on 10, because if you look at the regulations, the way the world is following, it's more or less doing what India would have done 10 years ago, whether it be your sender ID registrations or your template building. So on that front, yes, we are definitely 8 on 10. But I also agree with Ali, whereby he says on a 2 is because there is a huge potential that's there with India when it comes to the domestic market. We are huge together because I would say with the population growth that we have, let's take it as a benefit, we are the largest country when it comes to the A2P messaging. And with the huge potential that we have for domestic, we have huge together from the RBM and from the RCS.
Yeah, because I think you raise a very good point, because whenever you go to conferences around the world, everyone talks about the international piece, and people forget that there is a huge domestic piece. Absolutely. And of course, you have that advantage given how many people you have, and so there's a great future for domestic. We'll be talking about that as well. And Eishan, what's your take on it?
So James, communication is rapidly growing in India, and with multiple apps coming in with AI-powered solution. I think India at this point of time, when it comes to the solutions, they are abundantly present, but there are some flip side to it as well, which I'll hold my thoughts on as of now, but I think so I'll give a 6 out of 10.
Okay, there we have it, folks. So, audience, across the board, different answers for different reasons. We're now going to be drilling down into things, but remember, we're looking at really from the international side of things. Ali, I'd like to start with you. From a mobile operator perspective, and it'd be interesting for me to hear actually as well, how do you approach the international messaging space? Well, I suppose we're primarily talking about A2P SMS, but please don't forget, everybody out there and in the room on the stage, business messaging is about far more than just SMS and RCS at the end of the day. It encompasses channels which many of us might not view as super attractive and sexy, but email is still very much in there and part of it. I was just talking during the coffee break with someone, well, actually, Zaffar, it was you, about USSD and its important role. There's MMS still out there, of course, all the chat apps and so much more. But let's talk about A2P SMS, because it really is the core of business messaging around the world in so many ways. What's your strategy been with the international side of it, Ali, within your operations?
So James, you're right when you say that. A2P, see, if you, the basic differentiator, the way I see it is that if you have information to send to somebody, it's a one-way information, whether it's a OTP or a delivery notification or something like that, there's nothing better than SMS, right? So in short, when we look at, when I said 2 also on RBM, it sounds very, it doesn't sound very positive. While the potential is there, what I'm seeing here is that it is being sold today in the markets, the way I see it, is that it is being sold as a replacement to SMS. Okay, I'm getting a lot of customers who come to me and ask me for RCS at prices lower than SMS, right? Saying that at this point of time there is no IUC, there is no payouts to be done, so why don't you give it to me at a price lower? And if we all believe and understand that the channel offers a much richer experience, why not sell it at a much higher price point? I think one of the reasons is that the whole power of RCS, if you look at it, the way I understand it, is conversational, right? To build those conversation journeys. Most people are talking about rich media, just putting your logo there or putting a file or a folder, some pictures there or a video there. But I don't think anybody is really discussing the idea of building those conversations, addressing those marketing issues, creating onboarding journeys, service support issues can be resolved through that. I don't think that's happening today.
Well, we've got a panel about that later on today, bringing everybody in the sector together on that. So that's going to be very interesting to hear their take on it. Let's talk about the SMS side of things in particular. Can you mention any volumes, for example, just to give people in the room an idea of the size of the market in India that you are having through your platforms every month, for example, in A2P SMS or anything like that? Anything you can share with us?
So India inbound was roughly about $1 billion plus. Of late, it seems to have gone down a little bit. For multiple reasons, obviously a little bit of traffic has moved to WhatsApp. But there again, like I said, it's predominantly simple OTP message that have moved. There's no conversations that are being built there, while the channel offers that kind of functionality. And it is not used in its true potential. And some of it obviously through bypass and flash calls has been an issue now quite rampant. So all that is impacting, but the volumes have dropped. The big issue that we are seeing today in the international termination in India is your AIT, which is the most talked about issue currently. Large
So
enterprises.
could you just repeat that again? Is what the?
Sorry?
What did you mention? The EI?
AIT.
Oh, AIT. Sorry, artificial
inflation
inflation of traffic. Sorry, yeah.
So the hyperscalers that we speak to, everyone has this big issue on AIT. Almost 30-40% is what some people claim. And that is sort of impacting the overall volumes as well. A lot of use cases have been switched off by hyperscalers, which is overall impacting all the industry.
Okay. So let's jump to the other side of the equation, which is the enterprise perspective. And given your business is exclusively enterprise-focused, Vish, what's your take on it, given what Ali has said? From an enterprise perspective, when you're selling, are you seeing more resistance to, for example, SMS, and there's less actual business out there due to the higher prices and the issues with AIT?
So I think from the enterprise perspective, there are two ways we look at the international side. One is Indian enterprises terminating overseas. So that's outbound international traffic. And there are international enterprises, global enterprises, which are terminating into India. And as Value First, we service both. And the challenges we have seen and the experience we have now over the last years is that, let's first talk about enterprises terminating outside India. So normally we have been using SMS as the primary A2P channel. However, over the years, especially last couple of years, as the prices have been very volatile, what the trend we have seen is almost all local telcos are charging premium for terminating international traffic into their geography, because of which grey routes have been there. So to give the kind of price points which enterprises have been seeking, there is always this mixing of traffic between direct connects and grey routes. In the end, the quality suffers, of course. But of late, because of Meta, because of WhatsApp being available at a certain price point, we see a significant movement to Meta. So customers who are terminating outside India are now preferring Meta for quality reasons, and it is also cost effective. Right. Now, similarly, when we see traffic which is inbound to India, There again, we are seeing significant movement towards Meta. So the movement is not happening to RCS at all because that ecosystem does not exist on the international side. It's either SMS or Meta.
I think what we've all got to realize is for enterprises don't care about the channel, they care about the outcome. We in the industry, we sitting in this room, we talk about, oh, is it SMS? Is it RCS? Is it WhatsApp? Is it this? Is it that? Is it carrier-based? Is it non-carrier-based? And it matters for us in this room, but for the enterprises, it means nothing. It's all about the outcome. So that's a very, very good point. Shalini, your take on this, because you're leading the charge for PCCW on the monetization thing. I think many of us in the room are active in this space as well. And it is a challenge when you're talking to a lot of mobile operators to make them understand that if, simply put, if they want to move with a commercial model which is perhaps unsustainable, then it's going to hurt them financially and the market. How do you go about approaching that?
So, James, as we look at international market, it differs from region to region. Now, if you look at a region like Europe, where the pricing is stable, so in those regions, you might not see the difference whereby your traffic of A2P is declining or, shifting to other mediums of, definitely you have RCS coming in, RBM coming in, there is a fair share of traffic that's going in, but that's not because of the reason of the commercial pricing angle. It's more of the adoption of the customers where you need a richer feel, a richer experience for the service. But the most impact that happens is where you have markets, specifically in Africa, where the pricing in Latin, where the pricing has been increasing exorbitantly. Even in some parts in Asia, like Indonesia, if you look at it, the pricing is exorbitant. So when you have such huge pricing, then the channels or the enterprises who definitely want an X price to be given, but I would not say that the enterprise at the end is actually, making the money. It is more where I see the hyperscalers becoming more of aggregators today in the industry and taking away the share of that revenue. Again, for an end customer, it's just the delivery of the SMS, whether it's via an SMS, via WhatsApp, it does not really matter to them. But here what I see is with this whole shift, or I would say, would not use this harsh word of greed, but what is happening with the MNOs is today is because of the pricing that they're increasing, they are losing absolutely the share in volume as well as in revenue. Because it's not just that the A2P is moving maybe to a grey route, maybe even to a grey route. It could be on a P2P route, the MNO might not get money, but if it is on a domestic route, they will still make some money. But when it moves to hyperscalers, the MNO does not make any money at all. So it's purely gone on the data route and you have lost the A2P revenue.
Correct. Vish, the point you made about the fact that the international market, we're talking about termination in India, it's two ways. It's enterprises within India sending around the world, and then it's people receiving the messaging from outside. So the high price that you're seeing, and indeed many of us know in international markets, is impacting how large global focus businesses are treating their communication and customer experience messaging.
I think it's more of the industry as a whole, where we understand from an MNO perspective as well, because the A2P SMS is a part of your EBITDA. It's a good 5%, 7%, depending on the MNO to MNO. So I think the whole ecosystem, whether it be the OTT players, the enterprise, the MNOs, and the CPaaS players need to come together and work together to have their own share and have each and everyone have their own share in the business, which will just help the business to grow further. Because I believe now, the A2P space that we are in today, A2P is not just about a one-way SMS where it was just an OTP getting delivered. Today we see the entire digital marketing getting into the space of RCS. So if you look at a campaign that was launched in 2024 end, which was launched in Vodacom in South Africa, I think that was the first campaign that they tried to launch on RCS. They started off with campaigns from Nando's up to going to selling a Ducati on RCS, yes, and there I think it's there on MEF as well. You have a video for that, and you could look through it. So where they have seen the reach of the customers, the repeat buying of the customers, I think that's where RCS and the messaging business needs to grow off, and where the digital marketing is talking about a 25% share of their budgets on RCS is a big thing, and that's where the market needs to look at rather than just looking at the smaller things to play with hyperscalers.
Fantastic. Now let's move to Tata and Tata Communications. Tata, we all know in India, impacts your businesses across the group, impact the lives of everyone. You own 75% of Air India, so many other sectors. And the communications piece ultimately is the real glue that holds so much of it together. What's your take on everything that we've talked about so far, Eishan? And what do you see as the opportunities and not just challenges for business messaging internationally as well?
So James, I've heard the thoughts of Ali, Vish and Shalini, and I'd like to take some points. Vish and Shalini touched upon pricing as an issue. My view is that issue is more about educating both customer and the MNO. We should not look SMS as a competition to RCS or we are competing with Meta. I think they are complements to each other, and we need to really understand what is the use case. What is enterprise actually gaining out of a particular message? Is it a message which would lead to a conversation? Or is it a message which is just one-time targeting, say for example, reminders, notification? I think SMS is very powerful and yet more efficient than other models that we have in the market. But what is important is that what kind of message is targeted to a customer. If it is more on the travel options or payment, then probably consumers are wanting that there should be more conversation around it. So, all right, so be it. You shift to RCS or other models which are there. But if a message is targeted for a particular just notification to a customer, you stick to SMS and the price is there.
Or if it's more detailed, perhaps email. Because again, just to reiterate the fact, email, by the number of transactions around the world, is still the number one.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So it's all about educating and telling them that these options are complement to each other, and rather than look at as a competition that A2P will die out and RCS will be there. It's not going to happen like that.
Yeah, it's going back to an earlier point that I think we as an industry have made a huge mistake saying this is going to replace that. It was MMS is going to replace SMS, and then RCS is going to replace everything that came before it. It's not. They can be complementary. And
So when we talk about opportunity, I think so the opportunity is humongous. There are enterprises are shifting, wherein they can reach out to the customers more efficiently. They can have the conversation, take the correct feedback. So I look at it from the positive side, and I think so there's humongous opportunity both in all type of channels. It's just about choosing the right one for right kind of communication.
Zaffar, we'll come to yourself. You heard everything that's gone before. At the end of the day, we all know, as an individual consumer, we are all individual consumers in our own right. It's all about value, and it's all about ultimately businesses addressing us in the channel that we most prefer. And constant research has shown that when it comes to business to consumer communications, people know, because SMS has been around since December the 3rd, 1992, people expect lots of business communications to come on the SMS channel, and they're so used to it. Whereas if they receive something on another channel, for example, they're less used to it. So it could be RCS, it could be WhatsApp in particular I'm thinking about here. So you've got this angle to think about. But from your perspective and your experience, multi-year experience across the industry, we've got the international messaging, termination. We've heard price really is a factor which is overshadowing so much. But from your perspective, here in India, are you seeing the situation where actually the price truly is overshadowing customer experience? And whether it be enterprises or other organizations and stakeholders in the messaging industry, because a price might be so high, they're willing to send on a cheaper channel, even if the customer experience isn't great. What's your take on that?
Right. I heard what all the panelists had to say, and I completely agree on the various points they raised regarding AIT, regarding the prices and all. What I believe is that, if we look at the business messaging, we need to, look at it into different parts, as Eishan rightly said. if we talk about authentication, right? Nowadays there are different methods like OTP-less, something what Secure ID is doing. And I still believe that SMS remains the easiest and the fastest way of, I do a transaction on my mobile app, banking app, and it's my app just reads the SMS and I don't have to input even the OTP codes. So it is the easiest, the most reliable one. When I rated India at 8, what TRAI did with spam filtering with DLT, it had set up a benchmark for the world, and there is a considerable drop in these spam messages. I don't see them anymore on my mobile phones. When we look at the other models, like somebody, if it's like BFSI industry authentication, time critical alerts, they are something which must, the best channel for that is of course SMS. And we as an industry should promote it that way. We need to educate the enterprises, listen, this is SMS, this is best for these use cases. And if there is something on the conversational side of it, conversational commerce, be it KYC, be it onboarding, RCS and WhatsApp, both of them, they do complement and they do create different use cases. So, replacement of mobile apps, right? India is having a lot of mobile phone users, a lot of internet penetration. But at the end of the day, if we look at that, even we have 50% of people who are there on the mobile only. So, WhatsApp or RCS or any other OTT, these are added channels for other use cases which SMS is not, able to deliver, but SMS has its own capabilities. Now, when we talk about India, I don't think price is a challenge, because look at Indian international price, it's around 5 cents, and look at the other countries, they're like tremendously too high for the enterprises. But, of course, enterprises would want to reduce the costs. Then, the Indian domestic market, I think it's very fairly priced, very, very fairly priced. And of course, the enterprises are not abandoning the SMS use case. They are using the other channels for other purposes, as I said. So I don't think price is a challenge. India is fairly priced. Of course, we need to, there's a loss to WhatsApp right now. There a lot of authentication happens on WhatsApp for international messages. So I think there is something which the operators could do on that front to, attract more of those authentication messages back to SMS, as well as offering RCS and some other, I mean, even RCS, people, if there was a survey on MEF, I think I read about that, and then we talked about a survey in UK, and people expected SMS.
This was Ofcom.
Yes,
I was
Ofcom.
about to mention
Yes.
it, but you got there first. It was research done with thousands of individuals, different ages across the UK, from our regulator, the Office of Communications, which is totally independent from the government, and they found.
Yes, and SMS first. Like people prefer, and SMS is more reliable for that authentication. So I think the Indian industry, the Indian market, is very much on the right path. Of course, we need to fix some issues here and there, but prices remain fairly well if we compare it to the international side. I don't see challenge, but yes, there is an enhancement, the RCS adoption. I see a challenge between RCS and WhatsApp. Maybe that's, as operators, as an industry, telecom industry, we need to fix there. So competition is, I guess, between Meta and us, probably. So that's something we need to work on.
Ali, it's very, very easy for any mobile operator to be drawn into looking what is happening abroad. And on the face of it, it might appear an operator, Shalini will know exactly what I'm talking about, and you all will, many of you in the room will as well, will look abroad and will look and go, wow, it appears on the face of it, these guys increased their international price 50%, 100% overnight. They're making so much more revenue from us. We can follow and do exactly the same. But you're in a different country, it's a different market dynamics. From your perspective, your management, your organization within the mobile operator, are you happy? Are you going to be consistent with the strategy you have followed with regards to domestic and international pricing, and not follow perhaps what is going on in other countries, which Shalini in particular has alluded to?
No, so obviously, like Zaffar mentioned, the pricing in India is fairly priced.
Yeah.
the big issue that we see is that when you talk to the hyperscalers also, and we engage with them very regularly, the expectation is far lower, because the market rate that is currently prevailing is far lower, obviously because of bypass routes. A lot of clients that I engage with, and when we discuss with them that if you know that there is a artificially inflated traffic of almost 30-40%, and if a telecom operator is expecting a 10% increase or a 15% increase, it actually makes sense, because the outflow of your cash outflow will be much lower. But the way companies are structured is that all the procurement guys want to look at a per unit cost. It's more like petty wise, pound foolish.
Because
So
value
you're so busy.
value is not discussed. This is
Yes,
the point. And I
yes.
think this is a mistake we as an industry have made for decades, quite literally. We have not talked about value, because a one-time password delivered by SMS has replaced a PIN, for example, for a new credit card, which we might have received in the post. And certainly in the UK, given the cost of stamps and everything, that would cost the equivalent of, say, 300 rupees, so £3 to deliver, and an SMS instead costs 3 pence. So 1% of that, but delivers exactly the same value. So there's no discussion about value in the chain. With these procurement guys, all they care about is the price.
Is the price, yes. So that's where it gets stuck. I mean, that's how the AIT, it sort of gives birth to AIT in a way as well, because when the expectation is so low, and if your routing is completely going to be based on LCR, and it's not going to, you're not looking at direct connects, but I'm seeing a lot of change there. A few large hyperscalers are now looking at direct connects. Almost 60, 70, 80% of their connects are now direct. So that's where they are trying to go, because they've now realized that trying to save the small pennies is not helping really. Yes.
Vish, we've raised the issue of customer experience. Are you seeing a flight to quality at all, or is it really enterprise clients, when you're negotiating with them, when you're talking to them, is it really about the procurement guys just wanting the cheapest price? What are you seeing actively in the market today?
Sure. I think first of all, we should step into the shoes of the enterprise. So the enterprise, usually there are two buyers. There is a CMO or the CIO. Now, CMO is looking for reach. Reach means, for example, SMS would always score. But then CMO is also looking for features, and depending on the use case he is trying to address. Now, clearly, all channels fare differently. For example, we just spoke about how Meta or RCS can enable conversations and so on. And also how much money has been invested by Meta in adding features, for example, workflows or native payments. So there has been massive investment by these corporations into making the channel much more than like a messenger. It actually enables full-blown transactions. And likewise, Google is doing the same with RCS. So Google is working on two fronts. One, expanding the reach, which is Android users, and embracing iOS and so on. Apart from that, Google, like Meta, is also significantly adding value to the power of the channel itself. Now, as a CMO, depending on what use case I want to solve, I would choose a channel. And if I'm a CIO, typically I would come in and ask for quality of service, security, I would ask for latency, deliverability, all of those good things which a CIO must look at. And sometimes they work in tandem. And of course, the procurement always gets involved. And whilst early conversations, when we start off the dialogue with the enterprises, we are pitching a price point, and we are really saying this is what we will be able to do, and we are trying to do value capture, like you said. Why can't we do 3 pence or more, like, which is 1%? So when you began the panel, you asked about the score, and I said 4 on value capture. On the fun side of it, it is 10 on 10, because we are enjoying every day. We are adding value, we are creating value, but capture value is very difficult. So the procurement, as soon as they come in, and it is like, are you the cheapest from the competitor? And it is a commodity play as well, which is unfortunate. But This is how it has developed over the years. Howsoever features we may add, in the end, we tend to give so many things free because the competition is doing so. And Meta is now also talking to us that you guys are not capturing value, because Meta is saying we can do the entire payment flow and you are selling it at the cost of a message. Because imagine one of the feedback we got, that one utility company was paying a payment gateway 2 rupees 50 paisa for collection. Now Meta has included that in the message itself, that you can click here and then collect the payment. So players like us have ended up selling that at the price of the Meta message. So there is no realization of the payment capability. We have left all that money on the table.
It's a really good point about the payment capability.
But also one last thing, this is the procurement which is on the, when we are negotiating face to face. In India there is also this reverse auction where we just have to put a price. There is no conversation about quality, features. There is like a RFP which comes in, which is, okay, what is the TCO? And then you put in numbers. And when you put in numbers, the next guy bids the lower number. In the end, you end up selling at a loss. So there is, it's practically, there are so many challenges around this. Value capture is hard.
Shalini, your take on this whole value side of things?
Yes. Adding to Vish's point, that you want everything as a service, but you do not want to, you want to pay the price of a peanut. So that really does not work. And that is really impacting, because even the hyperscalers have understood that really very well, because before April, WhatsApp would charge for an enterprise for all the SMSs within 24 hours at one price. So you'd have the entire message, if it goes within 24 hours, charged X. But they did understand that there was a huge influx of messages that were going within that. So then they realized, oh, there is a potential. Second, they brought it across to the market saying that we do not want the customers to be bombarded with messages. So now let's change it. So every SMS that comes on WhatsApp will be charged separately. So they have a separate charging mechanism for the marketing, for the utility messages, for the conversation messages. So yes, there is more money that they are making. The MNOs are losing about it because they are not getting the share out of it. So I think as a holistic piece that we have to look at it, whether it be the CPaaS players in the industry, whether it be the MNOs, the enterprises, we need to understand that we cannot club everything together and price it at one. So if you want something which is plain, basic, vanilla, you have an A2P messaging. If you want something which is more on the richer services, a two-way messaging, maybe with, you could even have a two-way messaging without the picture servicing, which could again work on an A2P with a different pricing. And when you want a richer or a superior experience, then you have your RCS, your RBM, and garner revenue out of that. So the MNO has to price it differently. Whether it's the procurement guy, they need to work together, and it's an overall win for everybody. If you're going to go to the pricing model, no one is going to win in that.
But the problem is simplicity. We talked about, during the break, I was interviewing the chair of the ICEA, and he was mentioning there are 120 million SMEs here in India. And if all of us on stage suddenly turn into enterprise salespeople and we all go and work for Vish, selling to enterprises, we have to keep things simple, because at the end of the day, the enterprises are going to ask, how much is this going to be? And we can't go, well, it depends. For this, you need to do this. For this, to do that. So it's nice in principle, but the reality, I think, of it is out on the streets trying to sell it. It's very difficult.
Yeah, but then I believe that, it is also the larger players, the CPaaS players who come on board. When they onboard enterprises, they themselves know the kind of enterprise that comes on board with them. You might have a small enterprise who just needs a message to get delivered, or a marketing message, or an information to get delivered. Whereas you might have an enterprise which could be a banking guy who needs more of security and aspects. So the pricing changes over there. And I think that's how even the MNO needs to look at when they receive the messaging. So when they build up the procurement or the pricing has to be staged with the service that you want, rather
Fantastic.
than A2P as a whole saying that this is the bottom price that I want.
Now, folks, we've got, I think, officially about 15 seconds left on the panel, something like that. But I'm going to go to the oldest company, I think, on the stage. Tata, would you like to just close this panel with a final closing remark about what we're talking about, the future of international messaging and termination in India? What closing remarks on that?
So James, I think so. In my view, every time when we talk amongst the telcos or with the MNOs and the aggregators, we always say that it's a win-win situation that, let's join hands and let's make a win-win situation, be it from the revenue monetization or be it from the volume or whatever. But I think so we need to shift the focus and make it into a win-win and win situation wherein the enterprise also wins. Be it when you price the enterprise, or be it when you offer a service to the enterprise, or be it when you educate him that what is the best way to reach to your customers and have an engagement in a more efficient manner. So I think so we should now look at it as a win-win and win situation rather than a win-win situation.
Totally agree. And at the end of the day, what we've talked about here on stage, a lot of it comes down to education. We talk about it so much at Mobile Ecosystem Forum events, other industry association events as well. And it's not something you achieve overnight, but we have to keep chipping away at it and just telling people about how amazing business messaging channels are and the value they bring. And this is the point, the real value. And it's not just all about price, it's about the end result and the outcome for the end organization. So all it remains me to do is to thank my speakers, but this is the first actual panel discussion. We have time just for one or two very, very quick questions. We have Susan, who is the Director of Operations for MEF, who's put this whole event together with her team. So thank you, Susan. She's got the mic. Has anybody got a question for our expert speakers? We have a question. If you'd like to introduce yourself, please, your name and your company. Thank you. And of course, your question.
Yeah, my name is Vivek. I'm from Airtel, and I'm responsible for voice and messaging business at Airtel. My question to either of the panelists is that when Vish said that this is a commodity business, and Shalini talked about that value creation and all that, and we should ask the enterprise to pay us more, what are your thoughts that the industry can drive that kind of a value creation when there is a procurement guy who's looking for a price or a reverse auction? How does it happen in the market?
Who would like to jump in on that?
Yeah.
Shalini.
Vivek, lovely question. Yes, when you look at it from a silo only, when you're saying that I'm just looking at the procurement guy and giving him his numbers to bring the lower on the cost, I think we need to look at it if we want to save the industry and our EBITDA margins as a whole. Because we are not only just talking about when you bring procurement and you bring the revenue and the numbers on the SMS volumes that you want, we are fairly losing sight of the hyperscalers. Because today what is happening is, when you have a price that you quote, you have regulations for SMS today saying that, okay, as an MNO, you're building a lot of firewalls, you're controlling all the bypasses, all the AIT. That's being controlled. You have regulations put in place for the SMS, but there are no regulations being put on any hyperscalers. So there they are free to quote you a very low price, and at the same time, no regulations, I can have any kind of spam and spoof sent across. So I think it is more as an MNO or as a carrier today to understand that I look at my business collectively and I put across my terms rather than very soon the tables turning and only the hyperscalers putting their terms and nothing for the MNO.
I think that we could go on with answering that question, all of us, at length for hours and hours. We have time just for one more quick question. Anybody, or are we done? I can't see any. Oh, yes, we have. A hand just went up there in the middle. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Upasna. I'm from Telin, and I take care of business development and strategy for CPaaS. With whatever is happening around, there are a lot of entrants in authentication and marketing space, like we talked about RCS, WABA, then there is A2P SMS. Thinking from the customer point of view, today if I get an OTP, I have to literally check with the delivery guy, have you sent it on WhatsApp? Have you sent it on SMS? Or is there going to be a flash call, which is going to come on my phone? So how can we make the customer experience better? Because at the end of the day, it's the customer we are serving. Thank you.
Someone like to take that?
So I think, yes, of course, there are lots of channels, and that's a real challenge. I have had the same issue with my delivery guy lately. So I believe it's more about, rather than creating fallbacks at the, when the message is triggered from the application, it's better to have at the UI, which tells the delivery guy exactly how the message is going to be, there, whether it's to be a call, rather than, creating that a blend of those fallback channels at the back end, rather than, educating at the front end of the application how it's going to be expected. So I think that's somewhere the enterprises need to use the appropriate channels, when they're using WhatsApp. So they do mention it's a WhatsApp or a call, rather than, relying on the service provider to provide a fallback.
We've got Ali, operator to operator. What would you say?
So I have a slightly different perspective here. What is happening today, and I mentioned that as RCS today is being sold as a replacement to SMS, and I think that is where we are missing the bus completely. RCS is all about engagement, all about conversations. If as long as our sales guys, the telco sales guys or the aggregator sales guys, continue meeting the IT guys, the admin guys, the procurement guys, you'll keep discussing price. That is their business model, right? That's what they are focused on. Unless we start meeting the marketing heads, the product heads, the service heads, somebody who discusses conversions, not really actually cost, right? So if by adding an RCS layer in the digital, advertising that they want to get into, if they can increase the conversions from say maybe 20 to 30, that will be interesting for them. But if you go to the IT guys, the admin guys, will continue discussing price, and you keep de-selling the RCS product and keep competing on price with SMS, and that is not going to work. So I think when I said 2, that is the reason why I said 2, because I don't see conversations happening. People are simply discussing rich media in terms of just pictures and videos, but I'm not seeing any journeys really come up. So if that happens, then the potential of RCS actually is 10.
Fantastic. So everyone on stage is with us throughout the day. If you've got any further questions you would like to discuss that point further, please feel free to discuss that with Ali and anybody up here. But all it remains for me to do is to thank all my speakers, and it's a pleasure moderating our first panel of the day today. Thank you so much.